All right, let's dig deeper on this. Let's bring in Republican New Jersey Senator John Bramnick for more on this. Were you in that meeting just a little while ago that Governor Murphy was supposed to attend but didn't show up to?
I was there. I did not know whether Murphy was supposed to be there or not, but I can tell you, after sitting in that meeting, I'm more concerned than I ever have been about these drones.
Yeah, I mean, you share the same sentiments as Assemblyman Brian Bergen, who said that he came to that meeting to have his concerns allayed, but instead his concerns are only now heightened. So we just heard from the Pentagon that there's no Iranian mothership off the coast of the United States that's launching these drones. There was some information that they might have come in from the ocean, but maybe that was tied together with this idea of a mothership. So that's off the table. So I guess everybody's back to square one now.
Well, let me be clear. The state police, this is way beyond their expertise. And I could see Colonel Callahan was frustrated. He had somebody from Homeland Security. All due respect, Homeland Security is not the Department of Defense. We know the Department of Defense has the technology to monitor these drones. We see being shot down in the Middle East and in Ukraine. The problem is we don't have the Department of Defense in New Jersey at this time, and that's what I call for. And until that Department of Defense comes in, shut down the airspace completely to drones, do a limited state of emergency, no drones in the sky until we figure out what's going on here. But without the Department of Defense, we will have no information because the technology is way beyond state officials.
Yeah, so we have to wonder what the governor of the state is doing at this moment. This is what Phil Murphy said about the drones recently. Listen here.
These are apparently very, as I understand it, very sophisticated. The minute you get eyes on them, they go dark. And, you know, we're obviously most concerned about sensitive targets and sensitive critical infrastructure. So we've got military assets, we've got utility assets, we've got the president-elect's one of his homes here.
All right, so he's saying that, but at the same time he says, oh, but these are not a threat to public safety. And you got to sit back and say to yourself, well, how does he know that if he has no clue where these drones are coming from or who's operating them? And then there's the question of why doesn't he pick up the phone and call his buddy down the street from us at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and say, Mr. President, I would appreciate it if you would activate the U.S. military to look into this. But as far as we know, he hasn't done that.
Well, those were the questions asked. How can you say this is not a threat? There's no safety concerns when there's no evidence whatsoever that these drones are safe. With respect to the White House, absolutely, Governor Murphy, his administration, and I've reached out to the Murphy administration, they must ask the Department of Defense to get in here and get in here quickly. Now, Jeff Van Drew is the congressman. He's raised a serious issue. He's not the kind of guy who's just going to make stuff up. So based on what Van Drew said, based on what the public's saying, based on what I know and I heard today, Department of Defense needs to come in immediately, track these drones, find out where they're coming from and what they're doing here. This is no joke. This is serious stuff. And what most is concerning is I, as a person, would have thought that there's drones the size of SUVs in the sky, the Air Force, the military. Somebody would know about it other than the citizens calling the FBI. That's pretty unsettling.
Well, it is possible that somebody knows exactly what's going on, but they're just not saying or telling state officials. So for the moment,
well, if they don't know, they're pretty good at faking it. I'll tell you that, because I sat in that meeting and they look frustrated when I talk about the state police and the Homeland Security. They did not act like they knew something and they were covering it up.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. If they do know something and covering it up, that's one big issue. But if they don't know what's going on, I think that's an even bigger issue. Senator, good to catch up with you. Thank you. We'll see if we can get to the bottom of this. It certainly is intriguing.
I hope so.
I appreciate it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.